Pull up, grab the fuel nozzle, and get ready to fuel up on trends and strategies to grow your travel center business in this episode of The Truck Stops Here, brought to you by NATSO. Now, here's your host, Amy Toner.
Hello, and welcome to today's episode of The Truck Stops Here. I'm your host, Amy Toner. You are listening to The Truck Stops Here, the NATSO Foundation's podcast. The NATSO Foundation is the research, education, and public outreach subsidiary of NATSO. The podcast is just one of the many educational tools the foundation creates. Today, I'm so pleased to have Cyclum Renewables on the podcast. You are the title sponsor of NATSO Connect, and I have Shaun Lee. You're the Director of Operations for Cyclum Renewables. Hi, Shaun.
Hi, how you doing today, Amy? Thanks for having me at Cyclum Renewable Truck Stops.
Absolutely. All right. We're going to get to you, Ben, too. We have a special guest that will come in at the end. But why don't you start, Shaun, by telling us about Cyclum Renewables?
Well, Cyclum Renewables Truck Stops was developed based on working on renewable biogas plants, whereby we were trying to lower or improve the carbon intensity score. Mm-hmm. So working on another form of renewable energy was one of the initial catalysts for us creating Cyclum Renewable Truck Stops. In addition to that, our own experiences working and owning EV cars or electric vehicle charging cars, mm-hmm. And driving back and forth from Raleigh to the Huntersville, Charlotte area as we moved down there, gave us a great insight as to what we could do to make some changes and come up with a new concept for renewable truck stops.
Okay. Speaking of new, I know your business model is different. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so whereby the main revenue stream for a current truck stop or your current traditional truck stop is based on diesel fuel, and mm-hmm. then sales of food and products out of the convenience stores. Our main basis of operations and revenue stream is actually the credits or renewable energy credits by creating electricity using capstone microturbines with renewable natural gas. So it's a completely different base point of starting the formation of the truck stop. Mm-hmm. Also, we're using solar panels and all renewable fuels, as well as what we consider traditional/transitional fuels, so that we can work with existing truck fleets and providing them services based on their existing, truck fleet requirements.
Hi, I think you guys have some big plans, right?
At this time, we have approximately 6 locations in California that are in process, with our lead flagship truck stop in the city of Tulare, California. The city and the state of California are very much behind this new style truck stop, whereby we're providing renewable fuels. It's meeting the mandates of the state of California to the utmost degree, as well as the national mandates as well for future renewable fuels.
Now, we know, I obviously you've been talking about fuel. Can you just tell us a bit more about the fuel you plan to offer?
So we would offer for passenger cars one blend of ethanol-based gasoline, so that we can provide the current traditional and transitional fuel for cars or passenger cars or light trucks. Additionally, for cars and light trucks, we would provide hydrogen and EV charging. So for trucks, we would provide traditional diesel or blended biofuels or biodiesel, along mm-hmm. with renewable diesel. And then from there, we would provide hydrogen for trucks, renewable compressed natural gas or CNG. Then as well, we would provide a fast charge, electric vehicle charging for trucks, and then a slow charge for charging for trucks. So we would be the first location in the United States, or as a matter of fact, I think the world, that would be able to provide all the fuels in a brand new location. So all the technologies are tried and true, but it's the first time that we are aware of, or anybody else is aware of, where all these components are in the same location.
So, that obviously is really exciting. And in addition to the fuel, I know you're going to also have some amenities for the drivers. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so one of the things that we understand is currently when a diesel truck is fueling, it takes between 30 minutes and 1 hour. So during that 30 minutes or 1 hour, the truck drivers, are looking to utilize that time in the best way possible. And we went out and did market research, with the truck drivers themselves. We did interviews, we had podcasts and so forth. And one of the things is we had the canopies were only covering the main cab of the truck, right?
Yeah.
So they requested to have the canopies cover the entire trailer so that they could work on the trailers, during the fueling time. Then obviously we're having, clean showers, and in those shower spaces are small, little pods, much like you'd find in an airport. So instead of having just a shower, it's actually a comfort zone where they can take a shower, they can take a nap, they can use a restroom, and then they have their own space to work from where they're not confined. So they have, that's the situation. Additionally, those pods can actually be used for car passengers. So for example, if you're charging a car and you wanted to be able to use those facilities while the car is charging, or if you wanted to charge overnight, you can actually stay in the pods, the sweeping pods, overnight. And we've met the regulations for those pods by putting in extended fire sprinkler systems, in the buildings and in the stations, right? In addition, we would have people think, highly of their pets. So there would be places for, dog run. There would be a walking track around the facility, a gym, as well as in some of the cases, medical facilities, so that you could have, so like during the period of time that the truck drivers either overnight or while fueling could also receive, medical services as well. So there'd be in some of the cases on-site medical centers was another big ask. Another ask was dental services, believe it or not, right? Just where it's just easy and convenient, locations. We talked to some major companies and they were looking at adding gymnasiums or gyms, right? Or workout rooms, So these are some things above and beyond your normal convenience store. We have the putting green, the playground, things to do. And instead of having just, your traditional sitting places or eating locations and tables, there would actually be lounge chairs where people could relax while their cars were charging or they're getting fuel. So just a different way of thinking where we're understanding there's more time going to be spent at the truck stop. Like, for example, I think your Buc-ee's is like people are there for 45 minutes, right? Right. So there's a lot more things to do, during that 45 minutes of time. So understanding that the charging for us, or the hydrogen fueling and so forth, we want to, provide the most amount of amenities or the most occupying time, during that period of time. That's the comfort level. It's just like airports. Airports used to have very uncomfortable seating. Now that's completely changed, right? They have lounge chairs. They've got plugins for laptops. It's much more visitor friendly or traveler friendly than it used to be.
I know technology is a big part of your business model too. What do you have plans for in there?
So the first thing is our core business model is to use capstone turbines running on renewable natural gas. And by doing that, we don't have to connect to the electric grid. So we can speed the time the construction time of the projects. Okay. Plus it makes we don't have to depend on the cost to connect to the electric grid. So those are big factors, right? So we don't need to depend on the electric grid governing whether the truck stop can go in place or not. Additionally, that provides a lower cost for the electricity. So that technology is actually making it so that the trucks and cars are using electric charging. So from there, they would have a lower cost to actually do it. So we can actually provide electricity at less cost than other locations are buying it from the grid. So that's huge technology, hydrogen fueling technology. But additionally, for truck drivers, we have an app system going in place where they can monitor their renewable energy credits because they get $1 for every dollar of fuel they spend. So they can monitor those credits right on their phone. And then for truck fleets, they can monitor their Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3 emissions, which is becoming a big part of, daily life of big business. So there's a lot of things that we're providing technology-wise that have never been provided before. Additionally, the charging systems are all integrated and run by a cloud system. So as people start hooking up to charge, the systems will ramp up or ramp down depending on the charging time. So there's no one car charger that would be, slowing down versus, the electric pull from the grid. So we have a lot of different technologies, going in that are tried and true. But again, they're setting the groundwork for better advancements going forward.
That sounds very exciting. I love new technology. Why did you decide to be the title sponsor of NATSO Connect?
Well, we believe that renewable fuels need to be promoted, but more than the promotion is knowledge. I think from our standpoint, when we start talking with truck stop owners and operators, of today, and if they take the time to listen to what we're saying and show, and provide the opportunity so we can show them what we're talking about, usually those 30-minute meetings turn into 4 to 6 hour meetings, because once they start to absorb what we're saying, which is correct, which we have the real documentation to the real performance and the financial capabilities of how to do this, then they start to really listen and it starts to make a lot of sense. So what we need to do is we need to put ourselves in a position so that we can provide the widest range of knowledge enhancement to the truck stop owners and operators in the industry in general. So by being the title sponsor is going to provide us that recognition and those opportunities to provide the training and updates to what operators need, right? So it's just a matter of, how do you learn how to use a Apple iPhone or, one point a BlackBerry, right? So it's just a matter of if you have, good education on what to do and knowledge, then you can make the right decisions that make sense for the owner operators as well as, the fleets themselves, the truck fleets or truck operators.
Okay. Well, we're excited to have you. Now, I'm going to impose on you to introduce your guest.
So today we have Ben, who is an operator out of the Northern California area, who we met originally, I believe, in 2022 at the NATSO Connect event in Orlando. So it took some period of time for the relationship to move to a successful and cooperative point. But I believe going to NATSO's Connect event back then is now helping us, going forward in the future. So I'll let Ben himself, talk from there.
Awesome. Well, I've had the pleasure of talking with you before, Ben. It's good to see you. Can you tell us about your truck stop experience?
Yes, good to see you too, Amy. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah.
And my experience has been official for about 4 years, but I've been in and around the industry my whole life, growing up around the truck stop here in Northern California. I've had extensive amount of knowledge gained, throughout these years, help from NATSO, help from just experience from the truck stop, started behind the cash register to basically doing every job that's a part of operating a truck stop, to now being, running one. And so, I think my experience has been good enough, and I've shown enough to Cyclum for them to trust me as being, one of their first partners in their locations. And I'm excited to move forward with them.
Can you tell us a bit about your plans? What are you guys planning?
Yeah, so we're planning to have a partnership in the first location in Northern California. And it's a partnership that I think is really, really beneficial to not only the operator. Cyclum has made it really, really fair and an easy process to become a partner and see what's really going on in their company and how it's going to be beneficial and profitable for both parties.
When is it opening? Do you know?
We do not have an opening date yet,
Okay.
but hopefully, I don't know. Sean could talk a little bit more about when we think
So
day one will be.
far along on the first project of what we consider flagship location in the city of Tulare, and the city of Tulare has been extremely cooperative working with us. We should have the entitlement permits or the conditional use permit by March of this year. So in just the next few months, we would be at, FID so that we could complete design and then move into construction implementation. So we are expecting to have this location online by the end of 2024, as long as we can. We're pre-ordering equipment or the longest lead items. So just depending on the length of the lead items will really dictate, coming online.
I feel like you're very technology focused, Ben, so it makes sense to me that you guys would partner. Can you just tell us a little bit more why you decided to partner with Cyclum Renewables?
Sure, yeah. And I think Sean did a really good explanation of explaining, the strategic partnerships and new technologies that he's bringing in. I'll try to talk on a more broad basis of why I'm really, really excited about it is because, I'm young, so I'm interested in new technologies all the time, and NATSO does a really good job at introducing those types of companies. And the main benefit that I see on a broader term that everybody thinks about is when we talk about EV or hydrogen or any renewables, everybody in the industry kind of gets on their toes saying, this might not work, or, those types of things.
Right.
Cyclum has been the only company that I've seen that has a main solution of the biggest problem when it comes to EV specifically, and that's the stress on the grid. And because of their strategic partnership with Capstone, I think they completely solved that issue with there's no need to even be connected to the grid to charge a electric truck. And so moving forward in the future, I think Cyclum is going to be the best prepared to face any challenges of new laws that are going to be coming into place, such as, mainly in California, that they're going to be passing more and more laws when it comes to, EV charging and renewables. And I think Cyclum will be the best fit to face those challenges head on immediately.
All right. So before I let you go, Shaun, can you tell people how they can get a hold of you if they're interested in partnering?
So the best way to get a hold of us is go on to our website or one of our website, which is gocyclum.net, which is GOCYCLUM.net, gocyclum.net. And you can email us at info@gocyclum.net, or there's partnerships at gocyclum.net. So if you go to the gocyclum.net video page, there's several ways to connect with us. going forward in the future. And then obviously we'll have a booth at the NATSO Connect event, whereby I think we're going to have at least 3 or 4 current signed operators, including Ben, will be at the event, and then some others that are very close to securing relationships with moving forward.
Awesome. All right. Did I miss anything, guys, before I let you go?
No, I think we've covered it. And, the only last thing I'm going to say is that, Cyclum in some ways is potentially going to be an overnight success. But that success has been based on, years of hard work. As I explained, we met Ben at the 2022 NATSO Connect event. And really, we started in this process in 2019. So it's taken us, 3 or 4 years to really understand what to do, how to do it. There's been a lot of people that have been involved along the way. Some worked out, some of them didn't. But reality is we have some development partners that are really keen on moving forward, some fuel supply partners. So we've got a great team moving forward. It hasn't been easy. There's been lots of problems along the way, but what doesn't put you down, or what gives you problems makes you stronger, right? So we continue to strengthen the concepts. And one of the things that we did during that period of time is we have a project model and an understanding on how to run the truck stops, whereby people can monitor, instead of just like a QuickBooks system, we have an operating performa. So it really works well, and it took a long time to develop that. So it tells you how to site the locations, to develop the locations, what the costing are, what your engineering requirements are. So there's a lot of things on the technology side and how to go forward that are just completely different than your standard process.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for listening to today's episode of the Truck Stops Here. You can find us online at natso.com/podcast. If you have any questions, or you want to be a guest or a sponsor, you can reach out to me at editor@natso.com. Thank you again, Shaun and Ben. Thanks, guys.
The Truck Stops Here was brought to you by NATSO, the association representing truck stops and travel centers. Visit natso.com for more information. The Truck Stops Here is produced by NATSO in collaboration with Human Factor. Producers are Amy Toner and Darren Schulte.